are you?
Good, how are you?
Well, so there's no assigned seats, so feel
Okay.
free to sit wherever and
Well,
just kind of.
I'm going to sit in the middle so I can hear people at both ends.
All right.
Good. Well, I heard you had a lovely ceremony yesterday.
We did, yeah. So I think every time that we get that opportunity to pay tribute to those that have lost their lives, I mean, it's a moving event. I know that there was a number of folks. Kristen, captured this yesterday. A number of folks who stayed afterwards, who really just talked about their experience, and so we're trying to capture those stories now and move those
that's
forward.
Great.
Just to kind of share that story, because there's so many folks that don't know, right, and don't listen, and so it was a really good event. And then in the afternoon at 3:30, we had the ball game, the welcome home event.
Oh, nice.
Which was also a really, really good event. So two things in one day. It's certainly
and perfect
busy.
Weather.
Yesterday was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Thank goodness, better yesterday than today.
Right? Exactly.
So I know we have some updates for you.
Good.
And
Great.
really, for our time, we always appreciate when you come and visit the medical center, and even when I'm in DC, being able to spend some time with you and just kind of give updates. What I think is special about this visit today is that we get to have some of our frontline employees that we can brag a little bit about and show some of the work that they're doing. And so it's always amazing. I always start to smile, right, when I get to talk about frontline employees. But today we're going to go down to the CLC, the Community Living Center, and just walk through there. What's fascinating about the CLC, and I'm going to toot Dr. Howe's horn here a little bit, is that we have one of the only CLCs in the VISN that has a 5-star in quality. So
that's wonderful.
We have the good fortune of having both Mary and Elizabeth lead our team when it talks to quality and really getting down to the CLC. And so if you're familiar with how that works, it's actually 3 different categories: the unannounced survey, the quality, and the staffing. And so for 2 of them, we've been a 5-star, or been very close to a 5-star. And so this time with quality, we actually were able to go into the 5-star status. What's particularly unique about that one is the quality measures is really what the veteran feels, right? And so the forward-facing component, and it's something that we work very hard at. I mean, as we were walking in today, you mentioned that veteran that's busy. It absolutely is busy here. We are projected to go over 27,000 veterans that we're taking care of now.
Wow.
Which every month after month now, we've been seeing a 5% increase at least.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. So how does that compare to like 2 years ago, 5 years ago?
Yeah. So when you look at the demographics, they were starting to decline, right? And I think that because of a lot of the work that we've been doing over the last 18, 20 months or so, more veterans are coming into the system, and we're actually getting out to more outreach events. So Michael Bickris is our outreach coordinator. He has done a phenomenal job with the team to go out and do events in places that we've never heard of before, right? And just bring our veterans in. And so when you couple the veterans coming in to 5-star quality in CLC, the veteran experience, we just hired a veteran experience coordinator, to really make that second to none. That'll push us then into the Mission Act and having veterans choose us, right? And so if we can provide that care in a timely fashion, for instance, right now for primary care, we can see a veteran in 15 days on average, a new veteran here in Manchester. For mental health, it's roughly 7 days. So why would a veteran not choose us then if the quality is there, if the access is there, the staffing is there, the services are there, and that's our goal, is to really encourage them to choose us. So I'm going to let some of the other folks talk, right? Because I could go on and on and on.
So Senator, for our CLC, is we actually have 0 clinical findings in the last 2 years.
That's great. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. And that is a testament to the power of interprofessional collaboration. And from quality, our facilities, our pharmacy, our physician providers, we really work as a team for patient-centered care. And so in any given time, we walk into our CLC, we have satisfied residents, our family members, and their significant others are very satisfied. with our care, because we have those regular monthly resident council meetings. And we also have our ancillary support. We have the rehab. SPRS is actually a very integral part of our team. And
SBR.
SPRS.
SPRS.
Oh, okay.
Yes, is our rehab. So we are really fortunate, and then our staff, and recognizing that how when you infuse interdepartmental services, it's not that we can do more. That our power is a lot more. We can affect change that way,
Sure.
rather than just focus on just the clinical side of the house. Because and that's the way we have moved forward. Manchester coming into, I mean, it's unheard of having 2 consecutive no findings in your survey. So really, we're very proud of that.
So
Yes,
I
with
think,
good reason.
the interesting part about this, the CLC star rating, and I'm gonna ask Elizabeth and Mary to talk about this, is, this is how we're compared to the community, right? So this is not like the regular sales star rating, but I don't know if you guys wanna take a minute to kind of talk about the CMS and how that correlates.
Before you do, let me just recognize Chris Scott, who came in. I think many of you know Chris, but for those who don't, he works with me. It's not some random person taking over.
Yeah, so we go off of the Center for Medicaid and Medicare Star Cut rating. So New Hampshire actually happens to be one of the more competitive markets against the rest of the region. So we have to actually perform better than our peers in other states in order to get the same rating. And so even with historical issues, they look at it in the context of the last 3 surveys. So obviously having 2 perfect score in a row, I talked to Dr. Howe about her 2 P6, having that 3rd one is what's going to give us a similar score as someone in another state having a slightly less good score. So it is very competitive, and so for us, it's very important that we're meeting the standards, but it's more important the quality metrics is what the patient actually experiences, not what we were caught performing like on one day, right? So that's why we are especially proud of the work Dr. Howe has done with her team down there in the CLC. Really has been remarkable in the context of somewhat scathing reports that have been going on for the CLC. Dr. Howe's Community Living Center was interviewed for what they were doing right. So that's really a testament to the work that's being done down there.
That's very impressive. I've seen Al since I've seen most of you, but I told him that I thought the satisfaction survey was very impressive given the challenges in the past, and to have that have the VA be one of the top 10 in the country is really great a tribute to everybody's work.
So I do want to turn it over to Garrett and Robert here to talk about construction, because this is this is an area where you're probably going to get a lot of veterans calling in, right? And I think that now we're starting to go into the construction season, where we have a number of projects. In fact, we're going to show you one today that are right on the verge of getting awarded, and some exciting ones that aren't but are very, very close, right? So Garrett, Robert, I don't know if you want to take the lead on that.
Sure, I can. So we've got a couple of minor, we call them minors if you're familiar with those, adding new footprint. So a specialty care one that's been under design. We're about to do an urgent care and mental health one, and that's the one that we'll show you the drawings for. And that will relocate urgent care close to, right next to radiology, where it makes a lot of sense. That's going to be awarded hopefully in July. We've already made the selection, but we can't say who it is yet. But it's still in legal and technical review, and hopefully getting awarded very shortly. So we'll actually see some groundbreaking this construction season. We've got a few others, and a lot of these will get noticed because they'll be disruptive to just how things move on the campus. But I know you visited our quote-unquote new addition that's now several years old.
Yes.
When we built that one, for a variety of reasons, we ended up having to delete some of the features that we know folks have really become listful for. The drop-off canopy a real elevator, not like a wheelchair lift, those type of things. So
Yeah.
we're about to push that project through also.
Oh, good.
That'll, again, it'll have an impact because when you're constructing, one of our 3 major entrances, it'll stir people up, but it's going to be for the right reason.
All right, I am. I'm wet. I should know better.
That'll develop, or that'll really turn out a nice product that's really changes the way the entrance to the facility is.
Yeah, that's great.
And then once we get to the one, the mental health and urgent care one, that'll kind of shape that entrance over on
Thank
that
you.
end of the building. We've got a variety of pretty large infrastructure projects coming down the pike. Some roadway to reconstruct our loop that we used to have a complete loop around the campus before we built the new addition. We've got some high voltage electrical, and that's just 30-40-year-old infrastructure that has to be replaced. So we've got a variety of large ones like that. And I think the one that the director alluded to that we're really crossing our fingers for is we're hoping for the parking garage project to come for the 2020 schedule.
Now, what will determine whether that goes forward
So
or not?
we're actually very, very close, closest that we've ever been before. In when you look at the Vision's priorities, we're actually either 2 or 3. It was down about 4, and so it's moved up a couple. I think this is one where I feel comfortable enough to tell my team to go and start the documents in getting that awarded and moving that through. So I think it's safe to say that we're very, very close. This will provide about 350 approximately. I think it's less than, I think 325 or so parking spots. It will be an elevated structure. And so I think this one is very exciting because as you see, you bring in more veterans, you bring in more employees, which we have, about 920 employees now, but you don't add parking spots, you run into a problem. And so this will help us out in the short term. We're using the McIntyre lot down the road for our employees. We're looking for another off-site parking lot lease to make that happen. But then we're also in the next couple of months moving all of our folks that are in the outer buildings, right, like HR, fiscal, off campus to the Brady Sullivan building and the space that we have there, which will free up that front lot to really move things forward. So I think it's super exciting, right? I think you have all of this come together, and then you get exciting people to join the team. So I think I mentioned this to you in DC. We just recently got Dr. Bob Zwolak to join us as the chief of surgery, and much to the credit of Dr. Zimmerman here of going and really recruiting him. He was here 2 days a week and splitting his time, but he is now going to work with Dr. Zimmerman on getting the new ambulatory surgical center moving. So we have that planned for 2022, I believe, 2022, 23 in our SCIP, right? So the strategic capital investment plan. And so Dr. Zwolak will then run with that one and move that one down the field. He is a vascular surgeon by trade, so he's now coming in and looking at our workload to say what can we do to increase our services, what does that look like, what does it feel like, and really kind of helping expand services for us. So that's super exciting.
One of the stumbling blocks basically for us from going to a higher level of acuity was the lack of a vascular surgeon, so that was like a double hire there. So we got a vascular surgeon and chief of surgery, and he's well-credentialed, well-respected.
That's great.
And he can't wait to actually get this process started. He's also very innovative when it comes to community relations. We're looking at, even with the Mission Act, we're trying to find ways to grow our presence within the communities of the local hospitals because we've got providers that can do procedures not in the facility, but basically can in the community. So we're going to move that forward too.
Yeah, no, that makes so much sense as you think about the long term.
Yes. And one thing that our director and chief nurse executive will tell you that they both have received the Secretary's Award for Excellence in Advancement of Nursing, and that has never happened before in any other VA. We're very proud of that fact too.
Wow, it's wonderful.
Yeah, so a
Congratulations.
couple months, Dr. Howe and I will actually go down with Secretary Wilkie and get the award. But I'll pay back, right? I'll get payback on Dr. Zimmerman on that one. But it's a testament of us all coming together as a team, right? Whether it's quality, whether it's engineering, across the board, everyone coming together and saying, how do we get there, and what does that look like? And so on Monday, our all-employee survey kicks off, and so we'll be able to go out there and ask our employees again, how are we doing? What can we improve? And really take that feedback and drive us even further forward. So I think it's really, really exciting.
Yeah, no,
And I
it's
think
very
what's
exciting.
important is that, so I'm Robert McCollum, I'm an acting associate director, I'm also supervisor of mental health, and being both in the front lines in some respects with direct service and having the opportunity to be active role every now and then. The high reliability organization being one of only 18 pilot sites of all the medical
Yeah.
centers around the country. And so you see the leadership engagement and the continuous process improvement. We saw it in mental health where we went up by like 40% of engagement just in that service line alone in the employee survey last year. So just the continuous efforts by the Quadratus leadership, and then that just affects leadership throughout the building. And then the opportunities of the new buildings and the build-outs, it's going to be mental health integrated with urgent care, which is great.
So when you say that, what does that mean exactly?
Yeah, so we'll show you on the drawings, because I
Okay.
think it'll be physical. It's a 16,000 square foot building, and so we'll step over there in just 1 second. So I think we are also, so we're doing high reliability, we're doing construction, we're doing a lot of stuff. We're getting ready for Mission Act as well. And so I think even this morning I was on the Jack Heath show, explaining what's different.
Yep.
There's some different things, such as the urgent care benefit for veterans to be able to go out and
Yeah,
access.
tell me what you said so I know what to say.
So it's accessing select urgent cares that are in network, and so
Okay.
we're working on that, getting that list across the country who's in network. That's going to be the key part. Is you can't just go to any urgent
Right.
care; it has to be an in-network urgent care. But for the rest of the veterans in New Hampshire, not much is going to change, because this is taking choice and really the next iteration of that, right? Building up that integrated system, that network, and then also developing the internal capacity that we have here. So I think we're poised very nicely to be able to take that to the next level and really bring it to the fullest. So this weekend, actually, the department sent brochures out to about 9.6 million veterans, explaining what the options are. This one is actually mine as a veteran who I get my care here.
Good.
You can have this one if you want.
Oh, yeah, good.
I'll get another one. But that tells veterans exactly what the mission program is about, how it's different, what are some of the added benefits that they're going to get from that. So super excited to roll that out as well.
So one of the things that Chris and I were talking about, because we get, as you know, we get a lot of calls from veterans into our office who have questions. It has as much to do with providers as it does with veterans, because one of the challenges, as we remember under the Choice Act, was that providers didn't really know how it worked, and there were payment issues and other challenges. So how are we going to get to providers so that they know also about the changes?
Yeah. So if you recall, we had the first ever provider relations summit last
Yes,
year. So it was
I
last
remember
summer,
that.
where we brought in everyone over at the DoubleTree and all day talked about then the Choice program, how they could better get paid in a time, more timely fashion. We're planning on doing that again.
Oh, good.
Our first goal was to train employees, and so right now we have about 90% of our employees trained on the Mission Act. The second one is to educate our veterans, and so on the 3rd, I believe it is, and I'll get that exact day of, I think it's the 3rd of June, at 5:30?
Yeah, 5 to 6.
5 to 6, we're going to have a town hall here.
Oh, good.
And so it's really going to be less of me talking and more asking or answering questions about Mission Act. And then we'll focus on the providers and how do we roll that over, get them enrolled in Tri-West. We're very fortunate as we look at how this rolls out. We were originally slated to go in month 10 over to Optum, which
Right.
is a new contract. We've been able now to successfully get us moved up in that. So in September,
Oh, good.
we will move over to the Optum system. So now it's just bridging that gap between Tri-West into Optum, which our
Because I think
folks are working.
for a lot of people, that's going to be really confusing,
Mhm.
as you know.
Absolutely. So I do want to take a couple moments to look at the urgent care drawings, and then we can answer
Okay.
your question on
Great.
what does that look like. And we have them right behind us since it's raining today. I'm going to ask Garrett and Peter. I know this is your project. This is your baby. So I'll let you run us through this.
Peter's been doing this one from the beginning. Yeah, so we started the design November of 2016. We hired WBRC, their architects and engineers. Plus we got them on board. I'm the project architect, construction project manager, so I'll see the project from all the way from pencil sketches on 8.5 by 11s to a final movement punch list. I'll be the main point of contact for it, literally from absolute start to finish of the project. So it is 16,000 square feet gross. So it's 8,000 for urgent care, 8,000 for mental health. It's designed to meet LEED, which is a leadership in energy environmental design. So it's environmentally friendly. It'll be on setbacks, off hours. We're not heating it, cooling it. Everything will be set back for when it's not needed. Currently
And
a lot
where
of
is it gonna go?
So you
Right
oriented here, because this is the main building, you came in
Yep.
the entrance, or
Yep.
the Eagle entrance around here. Our new pharmacy is down right here, so this will be built out off of the front of the building. And there's actually a site plan here.
So you won't have to go out of the main building to get there.
Correct. So this is the main building right here. This is the main entrance, the front lobby that you came in through. We're somewhere down here. So like I said, the ground level is urgent care, and off the first floor is mental health.
So how that works is that they'll have a lot of group rooms, added group rooms for mental health right on the second floor. So it essentially will be additional mental health space for us, so that when we look at, how do we make sure that our veterans are getting timely access to mental health, this is going to be one of those key components, even though we're at 7 days on average for new veterans. So we're bringing them in, we'll then be
7
able-
days to get somebody in.
for a brand new appointment.
Yeah.
So then we'll be able to use some of this new space up here to get them seen in the
Even
quicker,
faster.
faster fashion.
So this is the
And-
ground level here. And like somebody was saying, it is connected to radiology, which is extremely convenient for radiological services. We do have an ambulance drop-off and car drop-off, so whether you're being dropped off by an ambulance, up here there's a separate entrance, and then if a loved one or family member is dropping you off and you're able to walk in, or have somebody bring you in a wheelchair, you can go in through another location.
So as you're thinking about, what are you thinking in terms of the usage? How many people are you planning for the urgent care, and then on the mental health section?
Urgent care right now, we're seeing 40 a day, so it's
And are you assuming that it will increase? That it will-
Well, visibility increases everything. Building
Yeah.
day will come, and it's, and I say to people, notoriously, they constantly underbills. Build it, and you wind up more people.
I think what's great about this project here and how timely it is that with the Mission Act, there's that new added benefit of urgent care.
Yeah.
And so for our veterans, they'll be able to go to the in-network providers, urgent care, whether it's a walk-in clinic or urgent care that's attached to a hospital if they're in-network. They'll be able to use that, so that coupled with the space that we have here, I think will poise us very nicely moving into further taking care of our veterans.
So as we're looking at projecting out from the last 20 years basically of being a war in Afghanistan and Iraq, hopefully we will not see that increase in any dramatic fashion, but how are you projecting out the need that those veterans are going to have for services?
Sure. So I think from a demographics perspective, all the models show that in New England, the veteran population is declining. I think what
Like the population in general in most of
Exactly.
New England?
Yeah.
I think what's very fortunate about us here is that we've been doing a ton of outreach. So if that number I've seen for veterans in New Hampshire is anywhere between 100,000 and 130,000. So if we're only taking care when we first arrived here, it was about 25, 26,000. Now we're projected to go over 27,000. I think for many years that number is going to continue to grow because you look at the delta between 27,000 and 130,000. But I don't
And I think also for mental health, if that's what you're asking, Mr. Senator, is that, so we know that we have roughly 22% of our enrolled veterans are seeing mental health, and we do anticipate that number could continue to increase. And with the Mission Act, we're obviously in a sort of a key position to attract more veterans because the 7-day wait for mental health, if you go into the community, I mean, you can spend 90 days waiting to see a
Oh, yeah,
psychiatrist
sure.
or a nurse practitioner. So the ability to get veterans in and seen an environment where they feel welcome and there's less stigma, we believe that I think even the 2025 task force showed an increase in mental health overall outpatient appointments for several years before it finally sort of changes
Levels up.
to towards 2030. So we still have a lot of years ahead.
Yeah.
And when you look at New England as a whole, we're only one of 2 medical centers that are seeing any increase in the number of users coming in. And so,
Really?
we're
Where's
seeing
the other
5.5.
one?
The other one is actually, I believe, Maine, with a
Huh,
smaller number.
interesting.
But we are clearly leading the business 5.5, 5 to 5.5% on average every single month. When you think about that, that's over 1,000 veterans,
Oh,
new
yeah, no,
veterans who are
that's
coming
amazing. And so we talked about the outreach and the visibility as being one reason for that. Are there other reasons that we would attribute? Are we seeing a growth in the veteran population in New Hampshire?
So I don't know necessarily that we're seeing a growth, but what we're seeing is really the effect of the new Manchester VA. So getting out there, turning the corner, changing the story, encouraging veterans to come in, and then really going out there and talking about it, being transparent. Getting on the Jack Heath show, Close Up, right, which was just this last Sunday. Getting out there and talking about it and doing town halls, it's encouraging other veterans to come in. I mean, you have a leadership team here that 3/4 are veterans. The other is the biggest veteran advocate I've ever met, and that's Dr. Howe. So you have that committed team who's willing to go out there, be transparent, ask veterans to choose the Manchester VA. We know it's a choice at the end of the day, and so for us, that's I think what drives this team to bring more veterans in.
We're having more women veterans use our services too, and that's why we can't wait to get the women's clinic up and running, so.
So an update on that
Us
one.
too.
An update on the women's clinic. This one we're looking at getting the design awarded this fall, which will really then push us forward and catalyze the change that's going to happen there. This will be a dedicated women's clinic with a separate entrance that's connected to the new overhang. It'll have more space for an additional primary care team. So this is really, I mean, when we talk about it as being an exciting time to be a Granite State veteran, this is what it's about. Bringing the construction, bringing the services, opening up things like cataract surgery, additional women's services, primary
And
care.
our
It's just-
grant, we actually have a grant, we were awarded a grant, embedding, it's first in the country, nothing has ever done in the VA, we are embedding a nurse, a case management in our geographically further areas like in Conway, in each of our sites. So it's
Oh,
like a
good.
one-stop shopping for our veterans. And we have seen decrease in our readmission rates, our length of stay of the veterans. So case management, and as a matter of fact, our case manager, the leader, was selected to present for the very first time. The VA was able to present at the New Hampshire Nursing Association on our product. And so we actually applied for an expansion to the grant, which is going to be first for the nation, if we get awarded, to have embedded case management in the urban setting. So we want to have it here in Manchester also. So we're keeping our fingers crossed because we're going to be hearing about it sometime in early July.
So this is what you rolled out basically up in the North Country, right? Several years ago, a
So
similar.
this is
sort
a
of the
simpler model
precursor
that was
to-
up in the North Country, right? That we really said, look, we want to do that case management and help navigate veterans. This is it on a much bigger scale, where we partnered with the VA's Office of Rural Health, and I said, look, I know this is going to work. We have the right people to make this work, and they funded us over $1 million to make that work. So I'd really love to go tour the CLC and have. our
Before we
folks-
do that,
Yes, ma'am.
would you just tell me, so award the contract in July, that's when the announcement will be made, then when
Yep.
you break ground, and what's the projected completion date?
Right, so end of the summer, we should be breaking ground. It'll take approximately 2 years from start to finish. Hopefully a little bit less, but by the time you get everybody moved in and up and running, it'll be 2 years.
We have a tentative groundbreaking already on the
Oh,
books, and
oh,
so
good.
I know I've let Chris know about it, and we're not going to make it public yet because we're making sure that
Sure.
all the blocks fall in line here, and then we'll move people.
Yeah, it's a great project for
Yeah, it's very exciting.
contractors. It's good size and it's going to employ a lot of local people. So we had a lot of interest for bids, so hopefully gets awarded soon and
And
nice
some of
looking
the
building.
CDOC is moving along quite, actually, they're a couple weeks ahead of schedule.
Yeah,
so
they're
that's
doing
great.
awesome, absolutely flying. Just starting to do bi-weekly meetings for that, just to kind of
So
nudge them
one
a little
other
bit.
question I had, you were talking about doing the town hall here to talk about the Mission Act. Are you also gonna put that on the road and do it in different parts of the state?
So that's been our fashion in the past. We've gone, up to Conway, Tilton, Somersworth, kind of in the Portsmouth area, done one. So I think certainly as we roll out the Mission Act, we're more than happy to go and do that in the community. Like even if you guys have roundtables or town halls, we're more than happy to come to that. I think the more we talk about the Mission Act, the more veterans understand it and are able to access it.
I was thinking about the North Country in particular, because, as you know, people often feel like they don't get the information in as timely a fashion.
Yep. Now we can definitely do that.
Yeah.
Great. All right, so let's go ahead
Thank you.
and.
Well, congratulations. This is
Thank you very much.
very
It's gonna be a
exciting.
fun job. Yep, you don't get to build a new building very often,
Yeah,
so.
no, that's right.
This is what the engineers and architects live for, is to put up
Yep.
stuff like
That's
this.
right. Yeah, no.
Especially when
That
it's a
makes us happy.
standalone building, like
Yeah.
that's what's exciting about this, because then I know there's few things that can get in the way of this building going up.
Right.
And so.
It will not affect clinical care at all, seriously. So we're gonna bust through, that'll be the last phase, is when we bust through from existing to new, so minimal noise, minimal dust. So it'll work out well.
Well, I think about all the years that we've been talking about the full-service VA hospital here. And while this isn't quite gonna get us there, it's sure gonna be a big piece of it.
Well, you take the task force recommendations, which many of them are well on track, and couple that with everything else that's going on.
One question everybody asks is, you guys taking only parking spaces? Well, we're actually adding 6 new parking spaces, so, plus 6 in the project is done, so feel free to share that good news.
Hopefully we'll have gotten the new parking garage
Right.
rolling by
Yes,
the time
good.
this
6
one's
plus
done.
So that it
350.
will answer all those people who say,
Exactly.
is there gonna be parking?
And long before this one's done, we'll have been getting started on the specialty care building too, so that's the new audiology and optometry, and that'll be a huge one also.
Yeah, wow, that's really exciting.
All right, so
Thank
let's
you.
go.
So what we have done is we have purchased, for individual, we have the seal of the specific branch of service. Thanks to Mr. Montoya, because he has to fund all of this.
Get all the information?
Yes, all this idea, thanks to him, he will just fund it. This is such a supportive medical center director.
Honored very, very well.
Yeah, thank you.
And these are the awards that we have gotten. So our secretary, we have
Yes, I bet.
From the Cleveland Clinic. Yes.
Hard Rock Cafe, not the Hard Rock Cafe, Hall of Fame.
Yes, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
And Dr. Mascola, the thing that you have published.
Oh, yeah.
Probably this year.
He's up for.
And Kathy, you wanna show our senator the things that we have done well here and,
Did you know anything well?
Just thought I'd show that. Don't you laugh,
Thank you very much, very nice. Congratulations to all of you on the good work that you do.
And then this is our.
Good. Don't mind the camera.
And then for me, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Get
right.
closer. All right, Kyle. You good? Did you get one?
So you said, what did you say, 70% of the employees are veterans?
No, so here, for our leadership team, it's 75%, so out of the four of us, it's roughly 35% of our employee base are veterans themselves.
great.
So it is really, really good.
Okay, I think that's nice. So about 300.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.